I paid my sister's rent for a year, covering everything, but at Dad's anniversary party, I found out that I wasn't on the guest list for her wedding, even after I gave her $8,000. "There's no place for you," she said. Then my uncle added, "You'll ruin the party with your face." I just nodded and quietly left, canceling her rent. 5 days later, she bombarded me with messages. "You misunderstood me, please talk to me." I've spent the last year being the backbone of my sister's life. Her name is Melissa. 5 years younger than me. Married to a guy named Connor who's been figuring it out since high school. No job stability, no plan, just vibes. When they fell behind on rent last year, I stepped in without asking. Covered $1,500 a month for 12 straight months. Every single month. Quietly. Never missed a payment. Then came the groceries, gas, utilities. She had my credit card for all of it. I didn't set a limit. I trusted her. Once she put over $600 on it in 1 week, just for random crap like candles and takeout. I didn't say anything. I let it slide. Told myself she was stressed. That wasn't the worst of it. One day I got a fraud alert from the bank. Turns out Melissa had taken out 2 small personal loans using my name and information. I called her as soon as I saw it. She panicked and started crying, saying it was a mistake, that she meant to ask first, that they were desperate, and that she'd pay it back as soon as Connor's new job started. Spoiler, no job ever kicked in. I should have gone to the cops. Instead, I let it go. Then, about 6 months ago, she told me they were finally getting married after years of putting it off. I wasn't expecting a big event, but she said they wanted to do it right and just needed a little more help one last time. So I gave her the $8,000. I wired it directly to her. No contract. No promissory note. Just a brother being a damn fool. Now here's where it gets twisted. My dad's 60th birthday is coming up. Big family reunion at his house. Melissa and Connor show up all dressed up, acting like royalty. I thought I'd hear something about the wedding. Maybe even be asked to be in the wedding party. I was still paying their rent at that point. Still paying for her damn Hulu subscription. Still letting her put groceries on my card. So I casually ask, "Hey, when's the big day?" She doesn't even flinch. "Oh, you're not invited." I actually thought she was joking. I waited. Nothing. "You don't belong there," she said. Just like that. Like I was some creepy coworker asking to crash her honeymoon. Before I could even process that, Uncle Jack chimed in from across the room like it was some family consensus. "You're ruining the party with your face." That's the exact line he used. Like I was poison. Like I wasn't the reason their lights were still on. I didn't argue. I didn't scream. I just stood there for a few seconds and walked out. That night I went home and started flipping switches. Cancelled the automatic rent payment. Cancelled my credit card. Removed her access to all the streaming, food delivery, and rideshare accounts. Shut everything down. Blocked both of their numbers. 5 days later, the messages started pouring in. "You misunderstood me. Can we please talk? I didn't mean it. You're being dramatic." They thought I'd get over it. That I'd turn the other cheek again. What they didn't realize was that I wasn't angry. I was done. The silence wasn't just about revenge, it was about peace. For the first time in years, I didn't have Melissa's name lighting up my phone with problems to solve. No overdraft notices, no desperate. "Can you send me a little something to cover the rent?" No. "It's temporary, we're just in a tight spot." But what she didn't expect, what none of them expected, was that this time I meant it. When I closed the door, I locked it. At first the texts came like clockwork. She tried guilt. "You misunderstood what I meant. You're my brother." I was overwhelmed. "We didn't invite many people. It wasn't personal." Not personal? I paid for the $2,000 dress. I paid for her electricity in the winter. I literally kept her warm. You tell me I don't belong in your wedding and you expect me to believe that wasn't personal? She pivoted quickly when I didn't bite. Then came the accusations. "You always hold things over people's heads. You said the money was a gift. You're punishing me for nothing." Nothing? Okay. Let's talk about nothing. Nothing is what I got when I paid her rent, and she still treated me like a backup plan. Nothing is what I got when she used my identity to take out 2 loans and didn't even think to ask. Nothing is what I was to her at that birthday party when she looked me in the eye and told me I didn't belong at her wedding. Not a thank you, not a word of gratitude, just, "You don't belong." And my uncle clapping like he was watching a roast. I didn't react. I just sat with it. I let the silence speak. Then reality set in. The first thing to go was the groceries. I had canceled the credit card she used at the store. She tried to use it one morning, Costco, big haul, probably getting ready for a barbecue or something, and it declined. That's when I got the first real panic message. Card declined. Did you change anything? Followed by, can you just fix it for now? I'll pay you back. I promise. This one made me laugh out loud. Pay me back? With what? Exposure? The rent was next. I had already told the landlord that I was out. My name wasn't on the lease, but I was the one paying. He actually called me, told me they were late, asked if I could make one last payment. I said no. Said they'd have to talk to their new provider, meaning no one. 2 weeks later, Melissa and Connor were out of the apartment. I didn't even hear it from her. I found out from Mom. They were moving back in with our parents. I thought this would finally be the wake-up call. But no. Melissa doubled down. She started posting vague barbs on social media. Some people only help so they can control you. Real success is cutting off the leeches. Stuff like that. I knew it was about me. I didn't care. If anything, I was glad she was wasting her time trying to show strength for the internet. Then came the wedding. No invitation. No update. No nothing. Radio silence. Until that night. I was at home eating takeout when my phone lit up. A message from Uncle Jack. I almost didn't open it, but curiosity got the better of me. It was a video. Melissa and Connor at their reception. Champagne, laughter, that smug look of people who think they've won something. They were surrounded by their friends, even a couple of cousins I used to be close with. Melissa raised her glass, looked directly into the camera and said, "See? We can do without him." Connor laughed. Uncle Jack cried. Everyone clapped as if she had said something brave. I watched it twice. Not out of anger. Out of clarity. She really thought cutting me out meant she'd won. She didn't realize I hadn't even started playing yet. It was a Thursday afternoon when she showed up. I remember because I was working from home and had just made lunch. I heard the knock, looked through the peephole, and there she was, Melissa. No warning. No note. No nothing. She hadn't been in my apartment for over a year. I didn't even know she remembered where I lived. She looked exhausted. Hair up like she hadn't cared for it in days. Hoodie that probably belonged to Connor. Eyes red but not from crying, just from life kicking her in the face. I didn't let her in. I stepped outside, shut the door behind me, leaned against the wall. I didn't say anything. She started talking right away. She said they'd been in a car accident a few days after the wedding. Connor was okay, she was okay, but the car was gone. Totaled. No insurance payout because she downgraded her policy to liability only to save money. Her words. Saying it like I should applaud the budgeting decision. Now they had no transportation, Connor had missed a couple of job interviews, and her temp gigs had dried up. My parents didn't want to cover for them anymore. Apparently, my dad told her bluntly, "Talk to your brother. He has helped you more than anyone." And there she was, looking for help again. I didn't speak. I wanted her to sit in silence for a while. She looked uncomfortable. Good. Then she said, "Look, I know things got out of hand. But we're family. We've always had each other's backs." I asked, "Is that what you call what you said at the wedding?" She blinked. What? I didn't let her play dumb. I saw the video. You and Connor. See? We can do without him. Does that part ring a bell? She looked down at the floor like a scolded child. That was. I didn't mean it that way. We were just trying to be proud of ourselves. No, I said. You were trying to wipe me out. Right after I paid your rent for a year, gave you $8,000, let you take out loans in my name, and fed you with my card. You weren't trying to be proud. You were trying to pretend that none of it happened. She finally said it. I'm sorry. I just nodded. Thank you? Then I said what I wanted to say. But I don't help you anymore. You lost this. You can't treat someone like garbage and then expect them to be your safety net when everything falls apart. Her face changed. It was as if the apology had never been about being sorry. It was about getting what she needed. When she realized that wasn't going to happen, she got angry. Called me bitter. Said I was holding a grudge. I told her, I'm not angry. I'm free. There's a difference. Then I turned and went back to my apartment. Closed the door. Didn't look back. Over the next week, I got texts from numbers I didn't recognize. Connor. Maybe his friends. Maybe even fake ones she made. Same story. We're sorry, man. Let's talk. You're punishing us too much. No. I wasn't punishing her. I was just no longer shielding them from the world they refused to grow up in. And I wasn't done. I didn't want revenge for the sake of cruelty. I wanted the truth. I wanted people to see them for what they were. Not just me. The whole circle of friends and family they'd manipulated with their sob stories and fake humility. So I started digging. Quietly. I had emails. Bank records. Text messages. Voicemails. Screenshots. They were going to pretend I never helped. I wanted to make sure everyone knew the truth. Once I made the decision, everything else came naturally. I wasn't going to scream, threaten, or beg to be seen. I'd been doing my part for years. All I had to do was stop shielding them from the fallout. The first thing I did was pull out every piece of evidence I had. Old texts of Melissa begging for rent money saying, I swear I'll pay you back when we're stable. Screenshots of her logging into my credit card account to order Whole Foods deliveries. Emails confirming the 2 loans she took out in my name. She had to use my social security number and date of birth, both of which I trusted her with. The $8,000 wire transfer receipt. Her name. The timestamp. I wasn't being petty. I was building a wall of truth. She told people that I was trying to control her with money. That I was using her hard time to hold power over her. Those were her exact words in a message to one of our cousins. The same cousin who'd sent me the wedding clip. So I started slow. Quietly. I sent a few screenshots, just enough to lay the groundwork, to 3 people. Cousins. A family friend. All people Melissa had fed stories to, trying to paint me as a bitter, emotionally abusive older brother who couldn't handle her growing up. All I said was, for the record. I didn't say anything before because I thought she would grow up. Guess I was wrong. That message was forwarded. Fast. 2 days later, I got a text from a cousin I hadn't talked to in months. Bro, she said you took her money. That she supported you when you were broke. I replied with a PDF of her own text messages. 6 pages. I didn't have to explain anything. Then I sat back and waited. Melissa's carefully constructed little picture began to crack almost immediately. She noticed. Started calling people. Trying to get ahead of it. Saying that I was spying on her, that I was trying to ruin her life. A cousin called me and said, she's freaking out, man. What the hell did you do? I just stopped lying for her. I said. And I wasn't done. The landlord of her old apartment? I sent him the proof that I was the one paying every month. He told other tenants that I was a co-signer. I wanted that corrected. He apologized. I sent him a corrected letter for his records. It just felt clean to end any false narrative. Then came the job part. Connor had finally lined up a decent interview with a logistics company. I knew someone there. We went to school together. Hadn't spoken in years, but I reached out. I told him that if Connor was going to use me as a reference, he should know that the guy had borrowed thousands from me, never paid a cent back, and laughed about it later. I didn't say, don't hire him. I just said, if you're going to trust him, know what you're getting into. Connor didn't get the job. I didn't gloat. Didn't send a message. Didn't respond to the sudden flood of angry voicemails that followed. Then Melissa tried something desperate. She showed up at my parents' house in tears. She told them that I was trying to destroy her life. That she'd learned her lesson and I was just being vindictive. My mom called me. I told her everything. Not just the money. The loans. The lies. The fake stories she told me behind my back. My mom didn't say much. She just sighed and said, well, I guess that's it. Even my dad, who rarely takes sides, told her to stop contacting me until she figured out what taking responsibility really meant. Melissa didn't take it well. She posted a long, emotional rant online the next day about being abandoned by the people I trusted the most. The comments were filled with sympathy from people who didn't know the truth. But the people who did, they were silent. That silence was louder than anything I could have said. And the best part? I hadn't even told the whole story. By the third week after the wedding, Melissa's social media looked like a ghost town dressed up in old confetti. She was still posting as if nothing had changed, retrospectives of the honeymoon that never happened, filtered photos of the wedding, generic quotes about growth, resilience, and cutting off toxic people. But no new faces, no tagged friends, and a noticeable shift in tone. It was as if she was performing for an audience that had already left the theater. Behind the scenes, however, she was crumbling. She just didn't know how to stop pretending. I didn't hear from her directly. She'd finally given up texting me, but people still talked. My cousin Lauren texted me and said, "She's telling people you're blacklisting her from jobs." I asked Lauren one thing. Did she mention the loans? The rent? The $8,000? Lauren said, "No. Just that you've always been out to get her." Of course. Always the victim. Then came the interviews. A friend from a downtown firm texted me to say that Melissa had come in for a front desk position. Said she was polite but vague about her work history. Listed Mimi as a reference. I almost thought it was a joke. I told my friend. She used my name to get a loan. I paid her rent for a year. She told me I didn't belong at her wedding. Now I'm supposed to recommend her? My friend just said, "I get it. That tells me everything." I didn't have to destroy her chances. She did that herself. The lie she'd been selling everyone for so long that I was some overbearing brother who couldn't let go was starting to fall apart now that I was actually letting go. And people noticed. Some family friends sent me messages out of the blue. People I hadn't talked to in a long time. One of them said, "I always wondered how she and Connor lived like that. Fancy dinners, takeout all the time, streaming everything. She told us they saved aggressively." Another, "I thought she and you were close. She said you cut her off for no reason." I didn't rant. I didn't vent. I just forwarded the receipts. A collage of wire transfers, bank alerts, and her own messages. I let her words bury her. Then I heard from my mother. She sent a blurry photo of the kitchen. Melissa and Connor were sitting at the table, not talking. Plates pushed aside, faces blank. Mom just wrote, "This is what happens when the safety net disappears." She told me they'd been fighting for days. Connor blamed her for pushing me too far. Melissa said it was his fault for pretending they didn't need me. Either of them worked. They were selling what was left of their belongings. The car was gone. They'd pawned some wedding gifts. They'd even tried to apply for food stamps, but had been turned down for technical reasons. Then Uncle Jack showed up like the snake he is. Called me out of the blue. I let it go to voicemail. His message was full of that fake peacemaking tone people use when they want something. "Andrew, it's time to let bygones be bygones. You've made your point. Melissa has learned her lesson. Let's all move on. Let's move on." As if this was some high school drama? Like they didn't spend years draining me and then laugh as they cut me out? I called him back once. Just once. I asked him if he remembered what he said on Dad's birthday. "You're ruining the party with your face." I let that hang for a second. He mumbled a half apology. He said he didn't mean it literally. I said, "The rent I paid wasn't literal either, Jack. It was real." And not one thank you was said? Not once. Then I hung up. I haven't heard from him since. But the real moment? The one that told me everything I needed to know? A video. Sent to me anonymously. No subtitle. No intro. Melissa was sitting on a couch, the phone recording her from the side. She didn't know she was being filmed. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Someone off camera asked her how things were going. She laughed, but not the usual smug laugh. This one was broken. Worn down. "I really thought he'd crack," she said. "He always folds. Every single time. I thought cutting him out would light a fire under him. I thought he'd come running to prove us wrong." Pause. I didn't think he'd actually just disappear. And then this. "I think we actually need him now." That was the final nail in the coffin. Because in that moment I saw the truth not only about her, but about what I'd finally gotten away from. It was never about love. Never about family. It was about control. About knowing that I'd always bail her out, no matter how deep she dug the hole. But I wasn't holding the shovel anymore. And for once, she had to climb out on her own. A lot has changed since the day I told Melissa no and meant it. People think of those moments as loud screams, slammed doors, dramatic departures. But mine was quiet. It was me gently closing the door while she stood outside asking for the same things she always did. And I think that silence hit her harder than anything I could have said. That was almost a year ago. She and Connor stayed with my parents for a while. Long enough to wear out their welcome. My dad, who always played the neutral card, finally had enough. He asked them to start contributing, even if it was just for groceries. They argued, deflected, said they were looking for jobs. My father said, "So am I, and I'm retired." That was the end of it. They moved out. I don't know where. I didn't ask. What I do know is that for the first time in years, they had to get real. No safety net. No, hey, just cover this for now. Texts. No one to manipulate with guilt or family ties. I think that's when it hit them that they hadn't just lost financial support, they had lost access. They had lost me. And it wasn't just the money. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't carrying around anything. The weight was gone. In its place was peace. With the extra money I wasn't sending them, I finally started focusing on my own life. I started with small things, paying off some debts, upgrading my car, booking a weekend trip to Seattle, just because I'd never been there. It felt weird at first, spending money on myself. But I got used to it quickly. Then came the big things. I moved to a better place across town. Nothing fancy, just mine. Quiet neighbors, big windows, a clean slate. I started investing. Nothing crazy, just smart. I even started therapy, just to unravel some things I didn't realize were still knotted up inside me from years of playing savior. Most people don't talk about what it feels like to no longer be needed. But let me tell you something, it is freedom. Especially when the need was never about love, just convenience. I've rebuilt a lot. My friendships are stronger. I spend more time with people who make me feel like a person, not a bank account or a backup plan. And yes, I'm dating again. Slowly. I don't need someone to save me. Just someone to grow with. It's different now. As for Melissa and Connor, I don't keep tabs. I hear things sometimes. A cousin will mention them in passing. Someone saw them working in a local grocery store. Someone else said they might have broken up. I don't check it out. That's their life now. But every now and then I wonder about the future. I think about how it would feel if, 15 years from now, one of their kids stumbled across this post. Maybe they're scrolling through Reddit late at night, looking for stories that feel familiar. Maybe this one catches their eye. They start to read. You recognize the names. The timeline. The pieces fall into place. If that's you and you're still reading, I want to be clear. I never hated your parents. I tried harder than I ever should have to help them. I gave until it hurt. Until it broke me. And when I finally said no, it wasn't out of spite. It was out of survival. They laughed at me, told me I didn't belong, tried to erase everything I did as if it never mattered. So I left. Not because I didn't care. Because I finally realized that I deserved better. And maybe they changed. Maybe they found their footing. Maybe they became people you're proud of. If so, I'm happy for them. I really am. That would mean something has stuck. But if not, if the patterns continue, if the lies continue, if you ever feel like you're just another piece in someone else's story, then remember this. You're allowed to walk away. You're allowed to say no. And you're allowed to start over. I did. And I've never looked back.